Hello, BookTube. Welcome back to my 2024 library tour. Let's get on with the books. First up is A History of the Weimar Republic, Volume 1, From the Collapse of the Empire to Hindenburg's Election by Eric Ike. I believe this is a work in translation. Yes, translated by Harlan P. Hansen and Robert J. L. Waite. So I've had this book in my collection for about 16 to 20 plus years. I don't remember if I picked it up from the St. Andrews University when I was there. They would periodically put DXS books or books that professors or anybody was getting rid of out in little carts in front of the library, or if I picked this up from the Friends of the Wicklow-McLennan County Library book sale. Not entirely sure, but I've never read it. So either which way, I've had this in my collection for a very long time, and I just have not gotten around to it yet. A book with a similar provenance is The Rising Sun, The Decline and Fall of the Japanese Empire, 1938 to 1945, by John Toland. This is Volume 2, which I have never gotten around to reading either. Next up is a more recent book. This is The Greek Revolution, 1821 and the Making of Modern Europe by Mark Mazower. Have not gotten around to this one yet either. Finally, the fourth book on the shelf is one that I have read, and that is The Queen by Matthew Dennison. So this is a biography of Queen Elizabeth II that came out about 4 or 5 years ago. And the first part of the book about young Elizabeth, I think, is quite strong, particularly the focus on Elizabeth as queen and her duties as monarch. The later chapters, unfortunately, become too gossipy, reads too much of a tabloid. And that really ruined the book for me. So hopefully there is a much better biography of Queen Elizabeth II out there. Or on the offing. Back to books that I have not read. This is Lone Star Nation, the epic story of the battle for Texas independence by H.W. Brands. So this is a work of Texas history that I have yet to get to. Nor have I gotten to The Deviants War, The Homosexual versus the United States of America by Eric Cervini. So this is a history about an astronomer who was outed and was fired from his government job. He sued and lost the case, but his experiences led to him being a founding figure in the Mattachine Society, which was a mid-century LGBTQ rights organization that predated Stonewall. Returning to H.W. Brands, this is Dreams of El Dorado, A History of the American West. So I have read this book, and I quite liked it. It's well, I haven't really read much history of the American West. I don't know how uniquely Brands handles it, but what he does is he looks at various sort of regional history. So there's one on a chapter on fur trapping, on the settling of Oregon. Um, there's a chapter on what would become, I think, Yosemite National Park, or a national park in California, and other similar chapters. So this is quite good. This next book is phenomenal. It is Sunny Days, The Children's Television Revolution That Changed America by David Camp. So this is a history of educational children's programming from the late 60s through the 70s, when, as far as I know, um, there was a sort of a big push for children's programming, or programming aimed at children, to be more educational. So this is a story of the early years of PBS, with Sesame Street and Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood, as well as the Electric Company and Zoom, plus the more commercial Schoolhouse Rock, and local excess programming in New York and Los Angeles, and how towards the end of the 70s and certainly by the 80s, this push for more educational programming sort of fell by the wayside. And while, particularly with PBS enduring, the others largely fell out of fashion, and children's programming, at least on commercial television, became more uh, toy line commercials for all intents and purposes. Um, but yeah, this is a phenomenal book. Really, really good. Um, Another book I quite like is Iran, A Modern History by Abbas Amanat. So this is a history of Iran from the 16th century through to the present. So it covers the rise of the Safavid dynasty, the Qajars, the Pahlavis, and eventually the Islamic Republic. It is quite good, although the introduction is quite rough, and it does take some time, I think, to get situated in the book. Um, the first Safavid ruler was a piece of work, but the book is quite good, and it touches not only political history but also cultural history, which is um, quite rich, particularly in the 20th century. Now, the rest of these I have not read. So, first up is Waves Across the South, A New History of Evolution and Empire by Sujit Sivasundaram. The Fall of Imperial China by Frederick Wakeman Jr., which, again, I probably picked up from the Friends of the Library book sale or my university library when I was there. In the Shadow of the Empress, by Nancy, or The Defiant Lives of Maria Theresa, daughter of Marie Antoinette and Her Daughters, by Nancy Goldstone. So I picked this up largely because I'm quite fascinated by Maria Theresa. Next is The Anarchy, The Relentless Rise of the East India Company by William Dalrymple. Have not gotten to this, and I really should. Unruly Waters, How Mountain Rivers and Monsoons Have Shaped South Asia's History by Sunil Amrith. Uh, Crusaders, An Epic History of the Wars for the Holy Land by Dan Jones. The Restless Republic, Britain Without a Crown by Anna Key. And finally, Vietnam, A New History by Christopher Gosha, which I think this is an updated paperback release, which I picked up late last year. Have not gotten around to it yet. So that concludes this second shelf right here. So I will be back tomorrow with the third shelf. So until then, BookTube, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.